Welcome to the Round 10 Injury Report brought to you by AIA Vitality. Just going to run you through the list now of the availability going into this week's game against Port Adelaide at the MCG. Off of last week in alphabetical order, so Tay Adams coming off that MCL, he's going really well today. So Tay's used this last block to really build his run fitness and conditioning base. He's dropped 2 or 3 kilos now with some extra cross training in the running sessions that he's done. Had a surgical review last week just to take off, return to full train this week, which he will do. The last bridge for Tay now is implementing and supplementing as much tackling and in close small-sided games and contests as we can over the next sort of 2 weeks. So Tay's expected return to play will be next week against Geelong, so it's pretty exciting news for Tay. So he'll step up that final component of his return to play this week. Jamie Elliott, he'll be 1 week behind Tay, so Jamie will start to integrate into some of the skills on Wednesday and some select drills on Friday. Going really well, building his volume of high change direction, repeat leading, and as I say, high intensity running for soft tissue prevention, going forward into his return to play process. Billy will reintegrate into full training next week, and as I say, he will be a week after Tay, so we'll look all things going well that Billy will return for that Adelaide game in round 11. So some good news on the horizon for those two boys in particular. Levi Greenwood, he sees a specialist consult on Friday. Obviously he's suffering those concussion symptoms over the past 3 to 4 weeks. So he'll have some further investigations, as with some of the low-key football sessions he's had, still pulling up symptomatically from that. So he's still in that low to moderate intensity football training at the minute. Friday then we'll get a clear picture of what the future looks like for Levi moving forward. Maxi Lynch. Lynchy had that calf strain from a couple of weeks ago. He ticked off his return to full training session on Saturday with a solid session down here in the Hailstones. So Lynchy will just move into our full program as of this week and be available. Jeremy Howe, he had his surgery 5 days ago. All went really well with Howe. He was in at the club this morning, so we will have a consult in a week's time just to make sure that that wound has fully healed, and from then we'll get a determination of a timeline for Howe. So I'll update you next week, hopefully with a confirmation around the timeline. Generally it could be anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks. So as a guideline, that's what we're looking at for Howe, but as I say, I'll confirm once we have the consult next week. Reece McInnes had a high ankle sprain syndesmosis last week. He's in the early stages of his rehab, so just going in through his motor control upstairs and some cross training off legs. He'll look at 8 to 10 weeks, so he's currently in that second week of his rehab. So in the next sort of 2 weeks, he'll progress out of that moon boot and get into straight line running and conditioning and build from there. So basically following the same protocol program that Billy Elliott's been on so far. So looking to say at an 8 to 10 week timeline for Rafe. And Trey Roscoe. So Trey had a slight subluxation of his shoulder in the last VFL game. He's got really good range and good strength, and we had a surgical consult last week just to make sure that he did not require surgery. But the surgeon's advice is he's really confident with the level of strength and the range that Trey had in that shoulder, with the advice being sort of 1 to 2 weeks to build up graduated contact training and be available to play as of next week onwards. So Trey will reintegrate into a modified football program this week, non-contact, and just build up the confidence and strength now in the gym over the next 2 weeks. So good news for Trey. With the concussion boys that missed last week, so both Murph and Ruff both passed concussion tests now this week. They'll go through graded intensity football, so they'll go into the trait development session tomorrow, full train on Friday, and be available for selection for this week. We had Anton Tohill, who had that little adductor issue from the VFL game, had the clear scan, but on function last week decided to just give an extra week just to basically consolidate a good return to play for Anton, given that we'd have the VFL bye as well coming up this week, to give him 2 full weeks just to come good off of that. And Braden Sire last week had a hip incident in training, so just had an acute episode where he jagged his hip. Had a scan post-training. There was no strain or tear on the scan. A little bit of bleeding in and around that hip joint that was irritating him, and just didn't have the function or power that was good enough to be involved in games at either level in Sydney at the weekend. So Bear this week will be a test to play, so he'll go through Wednesday's trait development session, assess his function then, and if he's good enough, then we'll build up through high-speed running, soft tissue running clearance, and into main training on Friday and put his hand up for selection. So Currently, we've got 6 available this week for selection. A couple of boys that we've got to test through on the main training session on Friday, and hopefully we can have a win on the G now. Obviously, with good news around T and Billy in the coming weeks, so hopefully those boys will give the team a bit of a spark now to get back to winning ways again. So hopefully the outlook is looking pretty clear. A couple of short-term injuries that we'll get those boys back from, and as I say, let's get a healthy list going in the next couple of weeks and get back to winning ways again. Go Pies!